roam. I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the trees to make some honey just for me. When you look under the rocks and plants and take a glance at the fancy ants, then maybe try a few. The bare necessities of life will come to you. They'll come to you. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities of life. Now when you pick a pawpaw or a prickly pear and you prick a raw paw, well, next time beware. Don't pick the prickly pear by the paw. When you pick a pear, try to use the claw. But you don't need to use the claw when you pick a pear of the big pawpaw. Have I given you a clue? The bare necessities of life will come to you. They'll come to you. Oh man, this is really living. So just try to relax. Yeah, cool it. Fall apart in my backyard. 'Cause let me tell you something. If you act like that bee acts, you're working too hard. And don't spend your time looking around for something you want that can't be found. When you find out you can live without it and go along not thinking about it, I'll tell you something true. The bare necessities of life will come to you. They'll come to you. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. Yeah, man, I mean the bare necessities. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities of life. With just the bare necessities of life. Yeah, man.
Well, that was fun. I don't know if I should follow that. If I can follow that. Can I put this, put it right here? Is that okay? I hope it's okay. Well, good morning. My name's Reverend Lulu. For those of you who do not know me, that's my name. So, as many of us know, probably everybody in this room, if you've attended any Unity services at all, you know that Unity was founded on the principle of healing. And of course, the accompanying principle of prayer. Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore was 40 years old when the doctors told her she had 6 months to live. Myrtle was very sick as a child and continued to be sick as a young adult. She suffered from tuberculosis. And at that time, tuberculosis was considered a death sentence. Tuberculosis killed 1 in 7 people. 1 out of every 7 people. It looks like probably 3 people in this room would have died of tuberculosis between 1800 and 1922. That's a long time. It's 122 years. Is that right? Did I do my math right? Yes, I did. I'm a mathematician. Not. After attending a New Thought lecture presented by the speaker E.B. Weeks, Myrtle came away with one statement, and I know most of you know this statement. I'm a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit illness. Say it with me. I'm a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit illness. So that old belief that she was an invalid, was born an invalid, was washed away in that 1 hour talk. I wish each one of us could hear something that would wash negative, wrong, error thinking away in 1 hour, right? Most of us, it takes us weeks and months and years to catch on to something. So I'm very impressed by Myrtle. In that 1 hour, her whole outlook toward herself and her life was changed by the new belief that she was a beloved child of God, and God's will for her could only be perfect life and wholeness. She wanted to be made well. Myrtle continued to live healthfully and beautifully and joyfully until she passed on at the age of 86. But what I want you to hear, this is very important, is that her attendance at that lecture and the new divine idea was not a one and done event. We sometimes think, okay, I'll pray for a while, right? But Myrtle prayed for 2 solid years for 5 hours a day. Can you even imagine yourself praying for an hour a day, maybe? Let alone 5 hours a day. That was her job, was to heal her body, and she did. She reached that level of health that she sought, that of being free of tuberculosis. I think we should give Myrtle a hand of, thank you, Myrtle. That was pretty cool. So she is our teacher. We too can heal ourselves if we want to. So Myrtle discovered several vital aspects to her healing, and she passes them on to us in her many written letters that people sought her out. How? How do you do this? How? And she published them in a book called Healing Letters. Do any of you have that book? Yes? Has it been a help to you? Yes. Y'all go out and buy that book. Healing Letters by Myrtle Fillmore. Although most of you in this room are unaware, I became very, very sick last March. Not 2 months ago, but last March 2024. I was in the hospital for 6 days, and the nature of why I was in there is unimportant. If you want to know why, I'll tell you afterwards, but really, who really cares, right? But what is important is that God moved through the entire situation, and though I was very, very sick, to the point of almost death, the entire event that has been a plague on me for years and years was revealed and came to light because of that illness. So I can't be anything other than grateful. Very, very grateful, because I wanted to be made well. While I was in the hospital, I prayed for peace for myself. It was a seemingly mysterious situation, and for my family, who also had no idea what was going on. I prayed for wisdom and clarity for the doctors and all the medical staff. I prayed for healing and answers, all of which I received. I had several prayers that I prayed in a loop in my head. One was the prayer of protection. We all know that. One was the 23rd Psalm, which is a particular favorite of mine. And one was the Lord's Prayer. I prayed these things constantly, because that's the only way I could keep myself out of fear, right? I love having these prayers, or any other prayers that work for each of us, in a loop, ready to go at a moment's notice. So I prayed these constantly, especially when I was headed to one procedure or another. I actually fell into those words as if I was falling into a down comforter. I felt the words were in the cells of my body. And so therefore, I felt the presence of God was with me whenever I remembered to call on it, which of course I was constantly. Remember, the presence of God watches over us wherever we are, and all is well. We are never, ever alone. but we have to remember it. And for me, those prayers on a loop helped keep me attuned. So I can tell you without a shadow of doubt that my faith expanded exponentially. Spiritually, I was completely surrendered, because what else do you do when you're sick in a hospital? You surrender. I knew Mother, Father, God had my back, so to speak, and I was protected, which, by the way, we all are all the time. We don't have to be sick in the hospital to be protected. We're all protected right in this moment. As we breathe in, do that with me. Breathe in, exhale out. Did you do that? God breathes us. God beats our heart. We are protected every second that we are walking around in these earth suits. So this just happened to be a time when I knew it, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I wanted to be made well. My passion is now so strong and anchored in so deep. My reason for being is to know the presence of God. I literally wanted to feel that presence beating my heart. I wanted to feel so close to God, it was like I could feel its breath on me, on my cheek, having God kiss me and embrace me. I actually felt that. I felt its arms around me protectively. Don't you guys want to experience that? Of course we do. We want it all the time. But it doesn't just fall on us, right? Unless you're in the hospital sick and that's all you're doing is praying for it. We have to reach for God doesn't leave us. We forget God. By the time I finish speaking and we get up and we walk outside and have cake and ice cream, we will have forgotten that the presence of God is with us, unless we make it an intention, unless our intention is to know that the presence of God is with us every single solitary second. So I actually felt God breathing as one. God and I breathed as one. That's pretty cool. Have you guys experienced God and you breathing as one? Let's try it. So close your eyes and breathe in, and know that as you breathe in, you're breathing in God. And as you exhale, you're not breathing out God. You're just letting your body rest for a minute before you breathe in another breath. You're breathing in the presence of God. Isn't that lovely? Don't you wish you could do that all the time? Shake your heads yes. You can open your eyes now. Because I was crying out for help, and help came. Now, I believe that this is how Myrtle could pray for hours every day for years, 2 years, is she was in that bubble of God. She was in that divine mystery. She swam in that ocean of God. We've heard that many times, right? That we swim in an ocean of God. But then if you're like me, you get in your car and you're driving down whatever road, I-4 or 95 or 528, and you suddenly forgot all about the fact that God is breathing you and that the ocean is somewhere over there and I'm not in it, right? We forget. We have built-in forgetters going on. So God was nearer to her and to me and you than our own hands and feet. Can you wrap your head around that for a minute? Your hands are pretty darn close to you, right? So are your feet. God's closer to us than our hands and our feet. Now, this may take some imagination on your part. It has for me, but I love knowing that every step I take, I'm filled with the presence of God, and God's taking these steps through my feet. And as I use my hands, as I speak to you, God is in my hands, speaking to you. God is flowing in me and through me. Hopefully I won't mess this up. So, I don't know. It just blows me away. So, her faith made her well. My faith made me well. And the same is right here for you. So I want us to have a look at a couple of accounts in the Bible where Jesus healed people. The first story that we'll discuss was found in all three of the canonical Gospels, and we're going to be looking at Mark chapter 5, verse 25. This is the story. Well, I'll just read it to you, and then you'll know. You'll know the story as soon as I say it. Okay, this is chapter 5, verse 25 of Mark, if anybody wants to look it up later. Now, a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years. Are you familiar with this? Yes. And had suffered many things from many physicians. She had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in a crowd and touched his garment. For she said, if I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well. Immediately, the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, who touched my clothes? But his disciples said to him, you see the multitude thronging you, and you say, who touched me? Stupid disciples. And he looked around to see her who had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction. She wanted to be made well. She had tried everything else. And so she went to the healer, our healer. Have you guys ever watched The Chosen? Are you guys familiar with The Chosen? Do you remember the scene where this woman came? I think it was in season 4. You have to see it. Like, no kidding. It is amazingly done. Now, of course, The Chosen is written by our friends, our brothers and sisters who follow a more traditional path. You know, we Unity people are kind of... And we love being that way, don't we? But still, the story is phenomenally done. I'm not kidding you. She wanted to be made well. Do you want to be made well? Oh, boy, that's really poor. Do you want to be made well? Yes. All right, thank you. So, her faith was so complete in him, and so it was with Myrtle, and so it was with me. So, then another story, which I'm going to just kind of tell you the shortened version, is maybe you're familiar with the man who laid for 38 years by the pool of Bethesda. Do you remember that story? He just laid there. Do you remember seeing that in The Chosen? Okay, then, yes. Thank you. So he's laying there like his whole life, 38 years, because he was paralyzed. And his great excuse was that nobody would help him. What the deal was, in case you don't know, the pool of Bethesda was where every now and then an angel would stir up the water and the first person in would be healed. So it was like a lottery ticket or something. And this guy, he was paralyzed. He couldn't get down to the water. And so when Jesus saw him lying there and knew he'd already been in that condition a long time, he said to him, do you want to be made well? The sick man answered by saying, Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up, but while I'm coming, another steps down before me. Doesn't that sound like whiny, yeah? Jesus said, Rise, take up your bed and walk. And immediately the man was made well. So as I studied this passage and scratched my head, and I wondered at Jesus' question, do you want to be made well? Because when I first read it, it sounded kind of off-putting. It sounded kind of rude. Like, well, of course I want to be made well. I wouldn't be laying here for 38 years if I didn't want to be made well. So the commentaries I read accused this man of being lazy. Charles Fillmore said that his bodily condition mirrored his weak, sick, infirm thoughts and conditions within him. You guys get that? His condition mirrored what was going on upstairs. Jesus was merely asking if he was ready to move beyond that lower level thinking, if he was ready to raise his thinking up, right? That's what we have to do. So I'm 73 years old. You should be applauding about now. I'm kidding-ish. And I have a lot of friends that are my age, maybe a little older, maybe younger, and they're all crippled up. Reverend Robert shows off about how he's 88. Shows off how, really, he does deserve it. Shows how he can, I asked him, do you still drive yourself? Yes. And not only that, I can get down on both my knees and I can stay down here for hours. I'm like, I can't do that. But you know what? Aging and being unwell happens where, my friends? It happens in our mind. So, Jesus was saying, are you ready to leave that lower level thinking behind? Do you want to be made well? Was well put to this man. So I have come and continue to come to an understanding that that is the very question I must ask myself. Do I want to be made well? So two things happened. I have to tell you this because every single solitary time I go to give a talk, which is almost every single week, God does this thing where he makes it real to me. So this morning, I woke up at 3, which is not my preferred time, and I went immediately into a coughing fit. And I had a pillow over my face because I didn't want to wake up my new puppy. So I'm coughing, and then my nose is getting runny, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And what I heard was, do you want to be made well? And I'm like, stupid answer. So anyway, I had to immediately, go into prayer. What am I, I want to be made well. And so I was. I took a airborne thing in water, whatever. Anyway, I'm fine. It was just like an hour of being sick, and then I was fine. But when I was writing this, I'm asking myself the question, do I want to be made well? I was putting the finishing touches on this talk, and that still small voice asked me, do you want to be made well? And I was becoming a little lackadaisical around some of the practices that help me attain a higher level of health. And there's no way Spirit will allow me to deliver a talk if I'm not asking my own self, my own question. Are you willing? Do you want to be made well? And not only do you want to be made well, but are you willing to do what it takes to be made well? Are you willing to surrender to what that might mean for you? So I was just sharing, that's it. So yes, I want to be made well. And so after we say, yes, I want to be made well, there's always action, isn't there? Being a follower of Jesus' teachings, being a follower of any kind of a path requires action. So, and it may not just be our physical being that can rest in healing, but our relationships might need healing, right? Our finances might need healing. All of our passionate endeavors need to be clean and clear before we can move forward with them. Our very lives, our existence in these earth suits can become peaceful and serene, and we can become unrecognizable to ourselves and to others if we want to be made well, if everything in our life wants to be made well, if our bank account wants to be made well. Like, who does not want their bank account to be well? So I believe this was Myrtle's experience, and it has certainly been mine. And suddenly, or perhaps not so suddenly, though it seems so, I'm experiencing what it means to be in the flow of life. I am so much more relaxed in many areas in life. I'm much more at ease because of the healing. I'm not living in dis-ease. And isn't that what we're all seeking? To live at ease, right? Do like this. Good job. I just want, and I bet you just want, an easy way of being, an easy way of relaxing into being, rather than one filled with fear and anxiety and resistance and mental anguish. How many of you suffer from mental anguish? Let's say this. How about with your finances? Do you thank you, people in the back, nobody else is brave. Do you suffer from mental anguish with your relationships? It doesn't even have to be your primary relationship. It could be one with parents, grandparents, siblings. Raise your hand. Come on. That's what I like to see. Truth seekers. We are truth students here. I mean, nobody's taking, your name. Oh, she's got a problem with this. Right? Even in the midst of our so-called problems, we can still experience peace. I can imagine the man that lay at the pool of Bethesda was filled with fear. Would you agree? I'm sorry? Yes. Thank you. And probably anxiety and who wouldn't feel like that if you laid someplace for 38 years? I mean, I love your socks. Our pain, whatever it may be, may not instantly or ever vanish, but to rest in the healing light of the great mystery that we call God, knowing that really, truly all is well, regardless of what we look like on the outside, that really ends up being a choice. We decide how we view ourselves. So do you want to be made well? Yes. All right. So do we choose to allow God all the way into our cells, yes, into the marrow of our bones? Because God's already there anyway. We may as well acknowledge it. Do we choose to believe by faith that God is nearer to us than our hands and feet? This is a faith-based question. We can't see it, right? God is an energy. Of course, we can't see it. And so do we choose to accept healing? Yes. Do we want to be made well? You guys are catching on. So maybe we need to talk for just a few minutes about what in my life and yours needs to be healed. We almost always look to our physical form, our earth suits, first. Many of us, or our friends and family, have physical healing needs. But look beyond that. What in our inner lives might need healing, kind of like that paralytic man at the pool who had sick, infirm thoughts? Might we need to attend to our negative thinking? Might we need to attend to habits that might also be called addictions, like shopping on Amazon? Oh. That could be an addiction. Trust me, I know people. That's an addiction. They get packages every single day. What about binge watching Netflix? Is that an addiction? It is. Who here does it? What needs to be healed in our family systems or in our neighborhood or in our communities, even our church communities? If you and I want healing, we may have to open Pandora's box and see where divine guidance wants our attention. Because if you're like me, you have that locked up nice and tight. I'll look at that maybe, 2035. I don't want to look at that right now. But then I'm not fully surrendered, am I? So I've heard, and maybe you have too, someone say, well, we all prayed for Uncle Jim, but he died anyway. And it's often believed that God let this family down. Uncle Jim wasn't healed the way healing was expected to go, but death is a healing, isn't it? The sick or injured person was certainly healed in the moment of their death. Often families are brought closer together in death, and this brings an additional opportunity for healing. Healing happens in all kinds of ways. In all the ways mentioned and not mentioned, let's talk about some steps toward healing, both Myrtle's steps and my own. Number 1, faith. Myrtle said, grow immense faith that you can be healed. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. From this particular passage, we see that the central feature of faith is confidence or trust. It's a changing of our mind, a way to change our thinking. Number 2, gratitude. Woohoo! I'm a fan of gratitude. I've come to understand that gratitude must be my first conscious thought when I awaken every morning. That I woke up is something to be grateful for, right? That everything still seems to be working when I walk to the restroom, that I still have a few teeth in my head that I can brush. And I have a toilet and running water and toilet paper, and on it goes throughout the entire day, that I have clothes to put on, or the emperor would be standing here without clothes. Every minute can be a prayer of thanksgiving. And so that can be a part of your prayer loop. As you create your own prayer loop, throw gratitude in there. Do a rampage of appreciation, as Esther Hicks calls it. A rampage of appreciation. It's awesome. Especially if you do it as fast as you can when you're not as fast as you can drive, but when you're in the car, a rampage of appreciation for whoever's sitting next to you. I appreciate the way you put that pizza in the oven that you got out of the freezer section. I appreciate that. It tasted so good. I appreciate the fact that you pay for Netflix. I appreciate. It's so much fun. So you go on and then the other person picks up and then you pick up again. I'm telling you, there's nothing more fun than a rampage of appreciation. Number 3, know you are already perfect. Know that whatever the condition is in your life is temporary. And you know how I know it's temporary? Because we don't live forever. We all have an expiration date. It just wasn't stamped anywhere where we can see it. So we get to go on to the next phase of living. So everything changes all the time. Even your health condition, because we're only here, like I said, temporarily. But the essence of who we are, that part, that tiny part that's invisible, it's eternal and it's whole and it's well and it's perfect. Perfect. Say with me, I am perfect the way I am. Together, I am perfect the way I am. All right, that's what I want to hear. And underneath or behind, as Charles Fillmore would say, regardless of what's happening in your body or your other life affairs, we are, perfect and whole and well. The thing we people Unity say all the time, everything is in divine order. And this is more than words. It is the truth. I remember when I was flying to Unity Village for one of my L&Os, licensing and ordination, which have to do twice a year. The first time I went, I got off the airplane. I didn't know where I was going. And so somebody held up a sign that said, Lulu. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I found you. And this person said, everything's in divine order. I was like, shut up. I didn't get it. So, and number 4, we are co-creators. We are working with that presence that animates us. God energy, so we don't just sit around and wait. So we get to work with God energy. Are you all working with God energy? As you create new projects, new whatevers in your life, because whether we have to go where we're led. And usually we're not led just to sit still and do nothing, but sometimes we are. Sometimes we are led just to sit still and do nothing. Be still and know, right? So, and here's another important part, and then I'll be done very soon, I think. It's how Spirit wakes me up at 2 or 3 in the morning and told me, this is so important, it's going to make me cry, but hopefully it won't. I was told very clearly, when I make choices that go against what's in my best interest, I'm saying, in effect, I do not want to be made well. Can you feel that? How often do we do things that are not in our best interest? Then we're basically saying, I don't want to be made well, I want to do my own thing. That's scary, isn't it? Gave me goosebumps. Anybody get goosebumps? Gave me goosebumps when Spirit told me that, when I was supposed to be sleeping, I thought. And finally, let's turn within, pray, meditate, read inspiring books. There's so many podcasts, so much stuff. You can fill your head. If you're running out of if your prayer loop is becoming boring or whatever, you can find inspiring people to listen to who will wake you up again and again and again. That's what I need. Do you need it? So be optimistic. Catch yourself when your speech or your thoughts are negative and tell them out loud if need be, get out. Replace those negative thoughts that say, oh my God, your hair got wet and now it's laying here all flat and stupid. No, I have hair. Yeah, right? I have hair. So you have to, sorry. And so you have to replace the negative thinking with positive thinking. Well, you don't have to, but hey, I do it. You should do it. All right. Take good care of your body temple, your earth suit, with good rest, good nutrition, good exercise. The body will respond to a cleaner, higher level thoughts, and it will renew itself. And finally, bless your body. Listen, every single part, the large organs, the small, this is what Myrtle did. I have a recording of her. She sat there and blessed every single muscle, every organ, every cell, every bone. I guess that's how she filled up 2 hours a day, right? 5 hours a day for 2 years. You have to come up, your skin cells, your fingernails, everything. Praise them. Bless them. Don't forget your heart. Don't forget your lungs and your brain. Omit nothing. Bless it all. Praise it all. And thank every bit of it. After all, it's been working for you from the day you were born to today, right? Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Amen. And namaste. Thank you.
The next song we have for you, the music was written by my great-grandfather. His name was Clive Harold Kilgore, and it was published in the American Lutheran Church Hymnal in 1958. So published during a time of, nuclear tension, civil rights unrest, and deep uncertainty about the future. And it feels kind of still relevant today. So I took the lyrics. The original text was written by a gentleman named Ernst William Olson. And I took those words, and I didn't have to change much of the idea of the hymn, but I did update them for today's society. So I hope you can find a moment of peace and serenity in this song. This is called God of Peace, in Peace Preserve Us. God of peace, in peace preserve us, guide us through the storm and flame. Let no lust for power prevail, steal the truth, or twist your name. Hold us in your steady grace. Let compassion lead this place. God of all, us, every creature, land and sea. Wake us from our careless sleeping, stir our hearts to boldly see. We can plant the seeds of healing, earth as it was meant to be. God of love, when hate surrounds us, when our leaders lose their way, let not greed or falsehood guide us. Through the shadows, light our way. Help us healed from fear and blame, walk together in your name. God of peace, when noise surrounds us and the truth is hard to find, quiet then our restless thinking, let your wisdom shape our minds. In the silence, help us hear what is loving, true, and clear. God of peace, in peace preserve us. May your love light lead our way.
All right. If you would hold your offerings in your hands, in your heart, and your minds, let us put a blessing on these. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, for the joy of giving and receiving.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
All right, let's put a final blessing on these gifts. Mother, Father, Creator, God, we thank you and acknowledge that everything we have is a gift from you. Now we give these gifts, these outward expressions of love, trust, and abundance back to you and this community. Bless them now that they might be used for a higher purpose to bless those around us. And so it is. Amen.
So if there's any prayer request, you can fill out the little form in the back of your seat, and in the spirit of Myrtle Fillmore, we will pray over it over here, and then it will be sent to Silent Unity, where the tradition will be continued for a long time. That's a lot of prayers for whatever you need. So please, and if you're online, you can call if you want, or visit us at Facebook, website, or email us at office@unityonthespacecoast.org. Next week, we have Reverend Don Barton talking on the 12 powers, and the power he's going to choose for next week is power. Also, we're going to stand up. If you guys want to hold hands, you're welcome to. And we're going to say, let's sing, "Let There Be Peace on Earth."
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with our family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. You guys want to be doing necessities?
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the trees to make some honey just for me. When you look under the rocks and plants and take a glance at the fancy ants, then maybe try a few. The bare necessities of life will come to you. They'll come to you. They'll come